Hello, Michael over here again for English 101 at Shoreline Community College online section. So today what I wanted to focus on is close reading. And close reading is a skill that you all have probably practiced before and something that is a skill that is really an essential skill for academic work and for your professional lives. So what I want to start with is what exactly is close reading? So there's a difference between passive reading when I'm, reading Harry Potter and I'm just reading for the enjoyment, and active reading, which is trying to really understand a text and get to the bottom of really what's going on in a text. So close reading includes things like reading actively and annotating. So you're underlining or highlighting things. And you're looking for key phrases or key ideas. You're looking for repetitions or what have you. And one way that I've seen this described in a book called Literature for Composition is it's really noticing what you notice, what stands out to you. And I kind of mentioned this a minute ago, is active reading versus passive reading. So active reading is reading with intent, really trying to understand a passage, and you're probably going to be reading with a pen or a highlighter in hand, and you're really trying to make connections within a text and maybe to other texts that you have in the course or other things that you've already encountered. Passive reading, on the other hand, you're really just reading to be entertained, you're reading for the enjoyment of it, and you're probably not annotating as you go. Now, some things that you read for entertainment you're really, really interested in, so you may read them a little bit more actively, right? So when we read something, what we're looking for is what stands out. As you read the course texts, you may want to read them more than once. You may want to read them 1, 2, or 3 times just to get an idea of what all is there. Okay, so some of the course reading that you're going to be doing in the near future, if you've not already, are 2 short narratives. And these operate as mentor texts, by which I mean they are texts that serve to provide you with an example of how personal narrative is done really, really well. So, what exactly is a personal narrative? Personal narrative is a memoir. So, as you read The Chase and as you read 4th of July, what I want you to be paying attention to is not just the story, but how the authors construct the stories. What symbolism is there? What words do they choose? And as you do so, as you're doing your close reading, you're probably going to want to pay attention to what we call Freytag's triangle. So it looks a little bit something like this, and maybe you've encountered this before. Basically what we have is a triangle, and almost every story will fall into some version of this. So we have what we call exposition, which is the background of the story, and it leads up to what we call an inciting event. The inciting event is the thing that changes everything. After this moment, everything is sort of catapulted forward into the rising action, which is a building of tension. So things are getting more and more exciting or more dramatic. And that all that tension in the rising action breaks with the climactic moment or the climax of the story, the high point of the story, which, despite my diagram here, may happen like right on the last page or even in the last paragraph. That will not be the case with the personal narratives that we're looking at because they do have a little bit of falling action and things are coming back down, settling back down, and then we end with a reflection. This is a point at which the author is reflecting on the experience, and that reflection is something that is essential to the work that you will be doing with your personal narratives. It is the point at which you, when you get to the point where you're writing your personal narrative, will be thinking about how that event changed you in some way. Now, I have the reflection line a little bit higher than the exposition line for a reason. What is that reason? Well, the reason is you in your personal narrative, much like Annie Dillard or Audre Lorde, have changed, and you're not falling back down to that same level that you were at when you began. So, in other words, the exposition or lead is the thing that sets up the context of the story. Where was the character? What were they doing? Why were they there? Who were they there with? The inciting event, as I mentioned, is the thing that is the single moment that catapults things into a new direction. The rising action is a building of tension. The climax is the high point, the point at which the tension breaks. The falling action is a return to normal or to the new normal. And the reflection is the thinking about that experience. So, as you read those two stories, what I want you to be thinking about is why those two stories are important and why I chose those as your mentor texts. Both of them have a clear exposition, a clear inciting event, a clear climactic moment, and a clear reflection. So they're nice and easy. Now I'm also going to have you listen to a audio from the Moth Radio. And if you're familiar with the Moth, fantastic. Any of the audio recordings up on the Moth hour will probably serve you well as an additional sort of mentor text. We're also going to, I'm going to have you listen to and watch a short video by the Blues Scholars, which is a local band. And it is a very short, very easy to approach and digestible personal narrative. Not all songs operate as personal narratives, but this one does, and does it really well. The exposition, climactic moment, climax, all that is a little bit more subdued, but we can still use it as an exercise both in close reading and critical thinking and in looking at personal narrative. So those will be the assignments for this week, and there will be some discussion on Canvas connected to those things. All right. Have a great day. Email me with questions, comments, concerns, whatever you have, and we'll go from there.